Hey, today I want to share with you my top watercolor tips that have totally changed the way and how I approach watercolor and how it helps me along the path. So the first one is, if any of you use watercolor brushes, you'll know that they can hold a ton of water. Oftentimes that's good if you're doing large washes, but if you're trying to have better control of the process, this is what I recommend. Get some acrylic brushes. They don't hold water to the same extent as a watercolor brush, which is why I think it's one of my top tips. This will allow you to have better control of your pigment and water during the process. Now that's something that has totally helped me. So if you don't have some acrylic brushes, add some here to your arsenal and it will totally help you through the process. Moving on to number two, this might actually seem like obvious. You might think, well, of course that's what needs to take place, but always have paper towels or a rag close by. Now I live by this rule. I never have a painting going without paper towels close by. Because watercolor needs the control of water, there's many times that I'll need to dab my brushes off with my paper towel or even soak up puddles because too much water got onto my page. So having that control will give me and you extra confidence through the process. Now, number three is, if you want a lighter version of the color that you're working with, you'll want to use more water. Try to avoid using white. What happens when you use white pigment is it actually creates more of a pastel look. It desaturates the color of your pigment. Now, in some cases, that might be exactly what you're looking for to go for that styling. But in most cases, I've noticed that if you're trying to do a lighter version of the pigment, you just want to use more water. That way it will keep the integrity and how that pigment originally should be looked. Now, moving on to a second type of pigment is one of the biggest hacks or frustrations, I should say, is trying to create a glow or light with watercolor. So this next tip is start with an underpainting of lemon yellow or another yellow pigment. What this will do is create that underlayering that can shine through your picture. This is a great way if you're doing sunlight through trees or even a flame like over a campfire or even a lamppost. So if you start with a lemon or a yellow underpainting and then add layers on top of it, a glazing process, this will totally improve that glow that so often is hard to find in watercolor. The next one might be one of the most controversial tips that I might share with you here today. That is using a dirty palette. Now, I know some of you might be wondering, what are the benefits of using a dirty palette? Doesn't that just create a muddy looking, paint picture? Now, I like watching the colors bleed together, but what happens is if you're using color or pigment straight from the tube, it kind of creates a comic book or a coloring book effect onto your painting. But by using a dirty palette, it will kind of uniform your colors across the board. So for all my landscapes, I definitely use a dirty palette because it creates that uniformity that is often found out in nature. Now, I have a bonus tip here for you beyond just the 5 that I mentioned, but thanks so much for watching to this point. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button down below. So the final bonus tip I have for you is masking fluid. Now, if you have used masking fluid before, it is a wonderful tool, but it will utterly destroy your brushes. Now, brushes can be expensive, so you don't want to just throw them away every time you use masking fluid. So here's what you want to do. You want to take some dish soap or even some hand soap, and you want to apply it to the bristles of your brush. This will create a protective layer to your brush, so when you apply your masking fluid, you can apply it to your painting and afterwards just wash it off. That way your brush is totally protected. Thank you so much for joining me today to go over those top tips that will totally help you improve. Remember, leave me a comment down here below, hit that subscribe button, and see you each week. Enjoy painting.